Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful Ramona, California, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to sunny California, people. We made it here at 12:30 last night, nonstop.
Oh, okay.
Pretty nonstop. We stopped.
At 12:30, it's like 3 hours, you know.
That's 3:30.
So
and we left.
No, that would have been 4:30. No, 3:30, you're right.
We left at 2:30 from Texas. So I drive, and Bhakti Justin doesn't drive. This recently found out.
You found out like when you were like past
I don't
Virginia
drive.
or something?
I was like, so you don't drive at all? No, I don't drive. And my kids, I almost got the 14-year-old in there driving. I was like, but truthfully, I tell you, fasting and driving works great.
Oh,
and it gives you tons of energy. And I drank some yerba mates, not even like overdosing on coffee, but I tell you, and as soon as I got tired, I just go, I'm going to bed. And I just pull over, fell asleep. The first night we did that, Yoga Soul Cindy Lunsford was on the way from Nashville. And we stayed there, but literally only for, what, Cindy, 3.5 hours, right? It was 3.5 hours because we weren't at time. And then last night was the first night I couldn't pull over because we were like an hour and a half from Mukundika Shores, which is where we are right now. And I was like, we got to keep going. And so we did it. We put on the Saturday Night Live clips to try to like keep it. You stay. This is a great trick. Play Saturday Night Live, and it makes you laugh so hard that you can't fall asleep. I was playing the Californians. I was playing Youngblood, all my favorites.
Youngblood.
You ever see Youngblood?
Youngblood. Sit down, Youngblood.
Sit down. Yes, that one. So you laugh so hard you cannot fall asleep. So anyway, it was great. And but it was, I tell you, for a person practicing bhakti, you're just listening to lectures, you're chanting, you're singing kirtan. It's actually so much fun to drive. Just get downtime for your mind, and you can hear and chant. It was ecstatic. And now we're at beautiful Mukundika Shores house. You can't really see it because of lighting, but he's got this beautiful altar behind me. And today is Madhu's wedding.
Oh, wow. Guys, time or not, little guy's finally getting hitched.
Yeah, I know. I was excited for that. So I'm going to literally try to sleep because I only slept 4 hours, 4.5 hours, and last night 3.5 hours. So I'm going to take another nap before I head over to Laguna.
Are you going to make it through the show without falling asleep?
I'm wide awake now.
Okay.
And I'm drinking herbal tea, so I'm feeling good. But I will say, Mukundika Shore, I want to shout out to Mukundika Shore. He's been listening to the show every day before it was even the show. Here as an other, we did Super Soul Sacred Sangha live here once when Youth Today or Shelter was on tour out in California. So thanks. He also supports our online platform. So he makes like a $50 a month donation to so we can post this whole thing online. Thank you for that. Just want to give a shout out to him. And I want to thank all the people that either reached out to me, had my phone number, reached out to me, called me, making sure I wasn't falling asleep. And I talked to everybody on the phone, so many others, so many just calling me.
I was saying, normally I get Raghu on the phone and he's always rushing off somewhere. Like, we got important stuff to talk about. He's like, I got to go. like
Kaustubha's always
yesterday,
called
he
me.
was
I was like, I can't talk. I was
yesterday, he was
yesterday-
just want to talk forever. I mean, even when there was nothing left to talk about, he's like, "Where are you going? Don't go away."
Look, Maras go, yeah, me too. He's called me too.
Well, that's what he said after I finally like shook him loose. He's like, "Okay, I'll call Mara now."
He wouldn't let me off the phone with him.
I was like, come on, start entertaining me, Mara. Ah, great.
ready?
Looking forward. And another announcement is we finally put up those 2 Wisdom of the Sages retreats, Long Beach, California. We're already getting a big sign up for that. So if you're thinking about signing up, go to yoga108studio.com to sign up for that retreat. When I say retreat, it's not like we're not camping out in the yoga studio. You got to find a place to stay if you're not from there in Long Beach. You can get an Airbnb, but we're hanging together for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's the first weekend of June. And then we're doing our second Wisdom of the Sages retreat in New York City at the Bhakti Center. You can go to bhakticenter.org and sign up there.
Or go to our Facebook page or Instagram page, and you can find the links there too.
Yeah. And that one's going to be a little bit different because half of Saturday, we're going to take a field trip to 42nd Street, and we're going to partake in the beautiful, wonderful, magical Rath Yatra Festival, which is where they take Lord Jagannath, which is a deity of Krishna, put him on a giant man-made cart. You can't make this stuff up. And pull him down Fifth Avenue while all the devotees are singing and chanting. If you've never done it, you will lose your material mind. You can't describe it. I remember my first time I was at Rath Yatra. It's unbelievable experience. You know?
And then there's the big party down in Washington Square Park, and we're gonna have our own Wisdom of the Sages table there.
Yeah.
So you can come up and meet us there. We can meet you.
Come up and meet us. Mara's going to be
Say
there
hello.
signing autographs.
Yeah, Mara will be working the table. She's like, okay.
I was joking with Mara on the phone. I was like, how did you become a celebrity all of a sudden? You're like a full on, people are always asking, where's Mara? Is Mara going to show up? Where's Mara? She's going to be there in
doing
person.
autographs.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry for the long introduction, but I just wanted to share my traveling across America experience. It was actually wonderful.
Okay.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
Yes. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana-tamarandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who's opened my darkened eyes with a torchlight of knowledge.
I thought you were going to fall asleep right there.
I almost did.
My darkened eyes.
Raghunath! I almost did. During married, don't let me go into deep thinking where my eyes close.
Darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge.
Yeah, you know, I tell you, Kaustubha, because I've been mentioning on the show, I've been getting messages from devotees from El Paso,
Wow.
Nityananda Granger and his family. Please come through Dallas. We're going to make you prasad.
It's a
Incredibly
family.
sweet people. Albuquerque, people just reaching out. We want to make you prasad.
Oh.
I'm just looking around, like, who do I want to eat prasad at their house? I'm just calling it. David
Krishna
Fleischer
Drew.
saying, over my house, I'll make you prasad. Kylie Brown saying it. I'm just kidding. They didn't say it, but they would say it if they knew I was coming there. And they're just sweet. We've actually got a full on community going on here. It's like a beautiful thing, you know.
Yeah. You ready to dive in?
Yeah.
Right. So we are in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 9, the Lord Brahma's prayers for creative energy. Lord Brahma has offered his prayers, and now Lord Vishnu is answering him, right? And yesterday we read about how Vishnu said that don't be anxious, don't be depressed, right? And he's saying that don't worry, I'm going to help you, right? You've got your purpose in life, you got a job to do, but I'm here for you all the way, and we're going to hear more about that today.
Well, these are the big ones. Don't be anxious and depressed. This is like, we can't get any more better of a question, how not to be angry and depressed in Kali Yuga, because that is the symptoms of the age, isn't it?
Well, there's going to be a formula for the cure is going to be shared here.
What text are we on, my good friend?
Text 30.
Text 30. Fantastic.
Yeah, because just to set the scene again, that Brahma was born on that lotus, and he didn't know what he was doing there. He didn't know where he came from. He began to search it out. He couldn't find his source. He sat down on the lotus. He went into deep meditation for a long time.
Hold the phone.
What?
Hold the phone. Is today Akshaya Tritiya?
It is.
What? Today is the day. It's
Are you just-
Akshaya
are you-
Tritiya. It's
are
like
you
the most
just
auspicious
randomly
day of the year.
Surfing other
Other
websites.
devotional
while we're
websites.
doing
No,
it?
there's a big banner on Veda base, which is what I use to find the Bhagavad-gita, and it says
Yeah,
today,
big
Happy
red banner.
Akshaya Tritiya. It's a great day to give a donation.
It's a great day to start something, right?
It's a great day to start a project. That's why the wedding is today, I guess. It's interesting because weddings have to be done on auspicious days. They're supposed to be done. You can't just pull any random day out to get married just because it's on a Saturday. They're supposed to be on a special day. Sometimes you might do it, and it might be an auspicious day and not even know it. You get benefit for that, and it helps. But I had this. We gotta mention we have Drew Lawrence coming on Sunday.
Here we go.
We're excited about this.
More
He's
deeper into
incredible.
astrology.
He's an incredible person. He was saying too, like he was mentioning to me about auspicious days for marriages. Why marriages become more successful, and it really has to do with timing. When to conceive. That's a big one too. You just don't conceive randomly. We got a baby. Guess what? You're pregnant. No, you got to find the day to conceive. You need, it's all, none of this stuff was just random. Your karma, your reactions are not random, and then your causes shouldn't be random. When you do things.
But all that being said, though, Raghunath.
Yeah.
I'm buying into what you're saying, but still, is it not our understanding that once you devote yourself and reconnect yourself fully to God, that overrides these considerations?
It does, but hear me out on this one. It does, but
okay,
you can be riddled with a lot of very bad luck, and your bad luck can be so heavy that you can't even practice bhakti sometimes. Now we always have some type of free will, but you know what I was just reading? Raghunath Swami's book. You know the best part of Raghunath Swami's book? That portion when he meets that guy Vasudeva, and Vasudev's soul.
That's the scary stuff.
That's the scary thing. So you can get attacked by demonic people.
Oh, where are we going though? Let's get back on track here, okay? Let's get back on track.
There's a reason Vedic astrology has some very good. And anyway, the person we're having on, don't miss the show on Sunday. I also was like, yesterday I got him on the phone. I was like, please don't get off the phone. I'm enjoying speaking to you so much.
I gotta go.
He's like, I really have to go now. No. One more question.
Did you give him my deets?
What's that?
Did you give him my
I
details?
gave him your details. He's going to tell you what you were in your last life.
All right.
Yeah, he knows all about Mara. He knows all about Mara.
We all know about Mara.
Yeah.
Past life.
Me and Drew Lawrence. Me and Drew Lawrence really know about Mara.
Okay.
We know stuff even Papa Tony doesn't know because we're going back lifetimes to really find it. Really want to know about someone? You got to find out their previous life. Think about it.
No, you
don't know their backstory. That's their backstory. You don't need to know that at all.
What you need to know is Srimad Bhagavatam. Text number 30.
What you need to know is what you're doing today. What's Mara doing today? That's the big question. What's she doing today with all that karma?
Okay.
But the question is...
all that horrible, dark karma.
No. I don't mean like that. I mean, just saying, if you want to know Mara, you got to find out, well, what was her childhood like? What was her experience like in private school? What was her, family like? You get to know something about a person. But the yogis are taking it to the next level. You want to get to know about somebody. You find about their last life.
All right.
That makes sense. Then nothing really appears random anymore.
Okay.
It all started. So the puzzle starts coming together. All right, let's dive into this sweet nectar pot.
What do you say?
Okay.
Text number 30. Read it, Raghu.
O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation. There it is. Penance and meditation. That's what I was doing in the van yesterday. Fasting and chanting the holy name.
And meditating on Saturday Night Live.
Well, that was desperation, man.
Okay.
I tried chanting. I was going to fall asleep. I was doing that to keep myself alive.
Right.
Situate yourself in penance and meditation. Follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor.
Okay.
By these actions, you'll be able to understand everything from with your heart. Okay, so you're feeling agitated, you're feeling morose, you're feeling depressed, you feel confused what to do.
Mm-hmm.
First, control the senses. That's your penance. Then focus your mind on divinity. That's the meditation. Meditation just doesn't mean empty your mind. That's where the myth is. You know, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to think of, and people say this, think of nothing. No, that came much later. Think of nothing. It's think of Lord Vishnu, or at the very the most simple. Think of light. Think of brightness. Think of some higher order. Don't think of nothing. Right?
Sure. You know, it's interesting. So let's look at this verse again. It's a bit of a formula here, right? Situate yourself in penance and meditation, and follow the principles of knowledge. So actually, you know, the word meditation is not even there in the Sanskrit, but penance is mentioned, tapas, right?
Okay.
And vidyam is mentioned, you know, and it's translated here as the principles of knowledge. So it's saying if you combine these two, and the way that I understand it is like the point to the penance is that it facilitates meditation, right? Like if you don't control your senses,
You can't meditate.
you're not going to be able to meditate. So Prabhupada just kind of putting the two of them together, right? Situate yourself in penance and meditation. Like the penance leads to meditation.
It's funny because we push meditation. Hey, you should try meditation. Hey, you should try meditation.
Try some
You know what?
penance.
Try controlling your senses.
Yeah.
Or else you're not going to be meditating on anything.
Your meditation is a joke if you don't have controlled senses.
Well, yeah. If I can't control my senses, I'm meditating on the things that I can't control my senses about. I'm hungry. I'm lusty.
You're distracted.
You're distracted.
Yeah.
Or you can do it for 5 minutes and eventually because the idea of meditation on the objects of the senses is a mental addiction. They'll come up again. They'll surface on a regular basis. So that's why there's the
Tapas.
cutting of the senses or the withdrawing of the senses in our day-to-day, and eventually the mind becomes peaceful.
That's right. You are on it today, Raghu. This 3.5 hour sleep thing, I think.
I've got nine and a half hours total sleep in the last 3 days. I've been fasting. I did break my fast. This is my second thing.
You're going to be a mess at this. You're not officiating this wedding, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. Because you may fall asleep in the middle of it. Like Raghunath falls asleep into the cake, right? He like kind of collapses. Everyone hears a big woof sound over there. Everyone turns around.
What's that
Raghunath's like asleep face first down in the cake.
Noise.
Okay, you're doing good though, Raghu. You're doing good. You're on it. So yeah. So we can. What is meditation without penance, right? And what does that penance mean? We can get into, right? We can go. Maybe we should do this, but maybe in a second or something like that. But we could go back to that 17th chapter, which really lays out penance in the sattva guna, right?
Sure. Your speech, your austerities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it
Right,
covers
your
3
charity.
things. Well, but even just for tapas, right? Just on that subject, it describes tapas in sattva guna in 4 verses, but and on 3 different levels: on the level of the body, on the level of the words, and on the level of the mind. Right. So we could check that out, but before we do, let's just look a little bit more into this verse. So, O Brahma, he's saying, I know you're depressed, I know you're anxious. Well, here's the formula for you. Situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge. So tapas plus vidya, or jnana, you could say, adds up to, here it's translated as you will receive my favor, but the word in the verse is ashraya, right? Which generally we translate as shelter, right? So you can reconnect with me. You'll be reconnected. You'll be protected. You'll overcome these issues, this depression, this anxiety. And he says, by these, and how so? What does it look like? He says, by these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart.
It's all there, the guru within. No, it really is, but it's true. But you have to go. You have to externally shut down the noise, and you got to externally stop engaging in the noise. We're engaging in noisy activity, and it makes the mind stirred up. And then it's
look
right
at
there. Krishna will reveal himself.
I love this formula, and let's read the two first sentences to this commentary, because there's another formula here. There's another formula, related formula. Ready? You want to read it? Should I?
Text 32.
Just read. No, we're reading the purport to text 30.
You do that. You do that.
Okay. This is Prabhupada's. It's a very short commentary, but let's just look at the first sentence first. It says, "The mercy of the Lord bestows the mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto them is beyond imagination." Now this is a verse. This is a commentary. It's written with realization, right? The mercy that the Lord bestows upon a particular person who's engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto them is beyond imagination. So he's saying the mercy comes, you can't even imagine how great it is. And then he follows that up with, but his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. So there's a combination here. There's often a debate, is my practice, and my advancement in my yoga practice, is it based on mercy, like it's kind of granted to you, it's grace, or is it based on my own endeavor? You could say my own penance and perseverance. But here he's saying it's based on grace, but that grace is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service.
We make ourselves attractive to receive that.
Yeah,
grace.
receptive to it, yeah. Or like, I assume it's a Christian saying, right? But God helps those who help themselves. In other words, it involves God's grace for sure, but not everybody's out there receiving that,
Sure.
And that looks like penance and perseverance, that I'm going to dedicate myself to this. We were talking about this yesterday, right? Like, without worrying about the results, because that's ultimately not up to me. But I'm going to focus, and I'm going to serve, and I'm going to run into obstacles in my devotional service, but I'm going to persevere, right? And I'm going to perform my penance. I'm going to control my senses. I'm going to, I'm going to have that goal fixed there, and I'm going to keep working on it, and then that grace comes. And again, he mentions that grace is beyond imagination. You're muted, Raghu. There you go.
I know.
Yeah. Then why don't we go ahead and finish this? He says, Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. So he had like the most difficult material task that exists. But by performing service, controlling one's senses, and persevering, all of this would be revealed. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as is confirmed in Bhagavad-gita 10:10. Hit it.
Tejam satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upiyantite. To those who are devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me.
Yeah, it's interesting here, right? Like buddhi means intelligence. And here Prabhupada translates buddhi yogam as the understanding by which one can come to him. Right? Dadami, I give buddhi yogam tvam. I give that understanding by which one can come to me. Right?
Yeah,
Buddhi yogam.
great verse. To those who are devoted to serving me with love,
Yeah.
I give them the understanding.
So there's the endeavor.
Yeah.
To those who are devoted to serving me with love, I give them. There's the grace. Right?
Beautiful.
Take that in. Take
Beautiful.
that in. Take that in. And you know what fascinates me is this idea of it coming within. Because when I hear descriptions like that, here we just read a verse where Lord Vishnu is telling Brahma, you know, if you're dedicated and you're devoted and you persevere, everything's going to be revealed from within. And, you know, I'll tell you something, Raghu. I'm going to just tell you frankly how I feel.
Tell me.
Okay? Within the yoga world, Western yoga world, right? You know, I see a lot of stuff like about this kind of like understanding everything from within. But I think we cheapen it sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a lot of times it's in terms of like rejecting any other outside instruction because all that comes from within. But you can see here what
we don't like the idea of anybody's got something over me.
Yeah.
I've got it. I don't need you to tell me I've got it. I've got it. The one I heard which really just got under my skin was make the altar and jump on the altar. You are your God.
Man, that's just like straight out.
It's just like for a person practicing bhakti, it's like, ow.
Yeah, that one hurts.
Sort of clearing the
kidding
altar,
me?
just diving on the altar and shimmying their butt up there. No, don't do that, people.
Get off that altar.
Well, it's also like, it's okay, no guru. It's like, I always say, like, then why read any books? Why have a martial arts
Why listen to you
instructor?
tell me that there's no guru?
Yeah, now
Why-
you're the guru telling me there's no guru.
All right.
Why should I listen to you then?
So-
They can't
so-
win. They can't win that argument. They can't win that dumb argument.
Because it's a logical fallacy.
Right? That was
Yeah.
Socrates and Plato brought this one up.
What do they say? The altar one? Get out of here.
No, not the altar one. He said, I think it was Plato said, there's no such thing as absolute truth. And Socrates said, that's an absolute statement.
Right. There you go. So it's a logical fallacy.
It's a logical fallacy, yeah.
So, but here what we have is, in a sense, it's like Vishnu operating as guru. He's giving the instructions. I'm going to tell you how to advance, right? And Brahma is operating as disciple. I'm going to hear your instructions. I'm going to meditate on them. I'm going to internalize them. I'm going to externalize them. And then, and only then, is everything revealed from within, right? It's not cheap. That you know, it's not just how we feel about things, or you know, it's something that's revealed to few people, to rare people, to people that are very dedicated, very devoted. Does this kind of revelation come? And I like to think about this more and more all the time. You know, like, in other words, what are we really talking about here? In this verse, it's saying everything's going to be revealed to you within the heart. And then Prabhupada, he draws a parallel with the Bhagavad-gita verse 10:10, which says that if one's devoted to serving with love, that Krishna reveals everything within the heart. You know, now Brahma's vision, he's already like shown that he can see things in his heart, right? Like he's already done his meditation. He's looking like at a television screen, like we could look, and he's seeing a vision of Lord Vishnu. He described that this wasn't anything vague. He described that earlier in the chapter. He described what that looked like, you know, what he was wearing and how he looked and all of that. So he's actually seeing something, and I believe that we could also have that, although that's really quite a high level of meditation. But this idea of inner direction, you know, or inner revelation, you know, I think it's kind of summed up nicely with this description. I give you the knowledge by which you can come to me.
Yeah.
Right. The buddhi
It's
yoga.
definitely, although we read externally, we practice externally, the revelation's coming internally. We're getting realizations about how to move in this world. It's interesting because, if you're listening as one of the others out there, we have a whole live Zoom group, and a lot of the people on Zoom I've either known or I've had a good pleasure of meeting, and I know everybody. I know everyone's strong points. I know their struggles. I know their situation. I know their a good family life. Their struggling family life. Their financial. You just know people. Get to know people. Their story. And Krishna is so magical that he's working with everybody on a very, very individual platform, seeing those material struggles, seeing those material blessings, and working with what you got. And he's just seeing that endeavor that's showing up. And from that, he's rewarding accordingly. You're getting this internal realizations to how to go move forward. He's sending us community. He's sending us information about how to move forward. It's quite amazing how Krishna, with all these people, it's as if he's working with each one of us on. It's almost like we're Krishna's private client. I have a private today with Krishna. But it's
But
true.
he can be private for everyone. Right?
He works with you like he's like your private your private yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And knowing all of our shortcomings, all of our strengths, and just giving us exactly what we need when we need it to get to this next level. Never abandoned, never forgotten about, and never sending us an out of the office reply. I'm busy right now. Please hold those prayers to May, June 21st. I'll be back in the office. No, Krishna's hearing exactly what we need every moment and giving us what we need, even though it may not appear what I need. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I think when we hear this term buddhi and we think of intelligence, when we think of intelligence, maybe we think of someone that's brainy. Or
right.
someone, certain people have a brain or a type of intelligence that's really impressive when you encounter it. It's like they can calculate things very quickly and understand something very quickly that another person would struggle to understand. Even say dense academic language, they understand it and speak it instantaneously. Without having, whereas another person has to take that sentence and struggle with it and try to understand what it's alluding to and all that,
Command of the English language, memory, just a bunch of information stored up.
Speed with which they can calculate, information.
Sure. Remembering what they've studied.
Yeah.
That's a big one. We just read it. I can't remember.
Okay.
Ability to recall things like facts and figures.
Yeah. But I think there's another way that we can understand intelligence too. The ability to discriminate. In one sense, it means the ability to make the right decisions in life.
Discern. I like this word better.
Yeah. In other words, it might be a person that's I'm not really very philosophical. I don't really,
Gotcha.
I can't, I can't follow what's being said right now. But
they may not be the sharpest tool, but it's a refined intelligence, because you can have a very powerful intelligence that's being used to build bombs or create war or create hate. It's not
or even just to do dumb things that create your own suffering further down the road, right?
Sure.
Whether just be, being with the wrong person or, doing the drugs, whatever it might be, I'm just not making sound decisions in life.
It's not like a Pol Pot, Stalin, Mussolini. It's not like they didn't have intelligence. They were incredibly clever, but it was degrading. It was defiling. It was harming themselves. It was harming other people as well as themselves. So it's just as the Buddhists say, a defiled intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. So whereas meanwhile, this simple person, right? This person that's oh, you know what? I can't even follow all of that. That's too much for me.
Yeah.
But they're actually who's more intelligent? The person who can calculate information quickly and thoroughly, but makes decisions that are sound, that lead to their further advancement in life and their further happiness in life. Or the person that's got the super brain, but they act in such a ways that just bind them in this world more and more. Who's more intelligent, right?
When I was a brand new devotee, I remember chanting japa in the forest at Gita Nagari, that farm, that Krishna farm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you were in the forest. Okay,
I was
that's kinda
walking
interesting.
and I was chanting in the forest, and there was a bench in the middle of the forest along the river, and there was like a brahmachari just laying, an older brahmachari just laying down on this bench, just sort of like in the middle of the day doing nothing. You know, everybody else in like the city, no one's laying down on the bench unless you're like
There are
homeless or
people laying down on
destitute,
benches.
slightly crazy. But he was just laying down. He was well dressed. He was sort of chanting sideways. So I just decided to start talking to him.
Who was this?
And I started hearing how he spoke, and he spoke almost in like he's not that bright. You know, his language wasn't like refined. He wasn't very explicit. And in my mind, I immediately got arrogant. In my mind, I didn't say anything in particular, but I'm thinking, this guy, who's this dumb guy sleeping in the woods? Like, doesn't he have anything to do with his life? And I was like, yeah, what a beautiful day to, chant in the forest. I said just the sounds, hearing. And he just started quoting the Bhagavad-gita, like very beautifully, and started saying, the sounds of the birds that you're hearing, that you're charmed by, are the sounds just for eating, where is food, mating, where is sex, and defending. There's great fear here. You're charmed by these sounds, but this is the charm of an animal.
Whoa,
If
dropping
you are
some knowledge
living,
there.
we started like laying the truth bomb on me. He goes, if you're living your life just to be charmed by eating, sleeping, and mating and defending, you're nothing more. He goes, don't let the romance of the material world fool you. That's all everybody, even with their sweet song, is singing about. And he went back to sort of lay it on the face.
Raghunath meets a sage in the forest. Wow.
It was totally a meditation. And I tell you, the 5 minutes talking to him before that, I just started asking, where are you from, stuff like that. And he was just like, he was dumb. He was like a card-carrying dummy in one sense. But he was like, he had wisdom. And that's what makes a difference.
Interesting. Very fascinating.
It's my saving grace that I can get wise.
So in a sense, what you're saying is that in one sense, Krishna was revealing to him in the heart truth.
And from that truth affects his behavior, his activities.
Yeah. I mentioned the other day, I think this is really something worth meditating on, is that to the degree of the intensity of our desire for truth, Paramatma reveals truth in the heart.
Hey, Prabhu, you should have joined us for Sweet Baby Krishna. Mara, tell him.
What happened?
Tell him our mantra.
Let's hear it.
Remember the mantra we were supposed to say before
Mara's
we
like, mantra? Sweet Baby Krishna? Was I there? I don't
You don't remember
mantra.
the secret mantra I gave you, Mara?
No.
Jeez. last time I gave you a secret mantra.
Raghunath
All we
is
had
just
to do
like
was say,
revealing things left and right.
I
Mara's just
want
like,
Lord Krishna as my husband. I want Lord Krishna as my husband. That was our mantra. You don't remember
Okay.
that?
I
want
do
Lord
now.
Krishna as my husband. That was, you were supposed to repeat that. We were supposed to repeatedly say that, and then before we go to bed, I want Lord Krishna as my husband. I want Lord Krishna as my husband.
okay, but that's like, sounds like that's a very esoteric thing that you're praying for.
It's quite simple. It's not that esoteric. I want Krishna as my husband. Boom.
No, but I'm saying, in other words, the revelation of Krishna as your husband, that's a very esoteric thing, right? I'm just talking about like revelation, just on the level of like, what am I meant to do with my life? Even on a moment-to-moment basis, or long or short term, right? Like
Krishna's
that's
like,
less
marry me.
esoteric.
That's what you're supposed to do. Marry me.
Marry me. but yeah, this is my point. In other words, Brahma's revelation, in one sense, he's seeing Krishna in his heart, but in another sense, he doesn't even know what to do right now. He's afraid. He's depressed. He's got his task in front of him, and he's feeling depressed. And Vishnu's saying, if you're situated in penance, if you're operating in knowledge, and I still think we could go back and look at those things and see what they mean, examine them more deeply, what they mean, then you're going to get my shelter, and everything that you need to know is going to be revealed in your heart. Now, if we look at, there's a famous verse, 1861, Bhagavad-gita 1861,
Give me a hint.
Ishvara.
Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. That one?
Yeah.
What? I got that?
Yeah, boom. This guy, 3.5
It's just
hours.
flowing out. I
Raghu.
don't even know what I'm saying. Ishvara
3.5
Sarvabhutanam.
hours.
I'm the
That's the way-
controller of all living entities. Hridena I'm in the heart of everyone.
Yeah, Hridesh Arjuna Tishtati. I'm situated.
Where did that come from?
Do you know the rest of it?
Yeah.
Brahmayan,
Brahmayan
Sarvabhutani,
Sarvabhutani.
Yantra,
I can't remember.
Yantra Rudhani Maya.
Oh, no. That's not the fourth. No.
That is.
That's not it.
I'm afraid that it is, Raghunath.
Oh, okay.
I'm situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material
nature. I think that's wrong, truthfully. I love you, but I think that you got that wrong.
How about this, Raghunath? I have it in front of me right now.
You do? Okay. All right, I stand corrected. Then there's another place in the Bhagavad Gita, Mara. Look that up. Yantra Rudhani Maya.
I think that's the only place you're going to find Yantra Rudhani Maya in the Bhagavad Gita.
On a machine made up of material energy.
Yantra means a machine.
She's like, no, we're just going to let you be wrong today. How about that?
Yeah, she's like, don't send me on this fruitless
strike.
On this fruitless search. Yeah, but think about this. He says, he's directing everyone's wanderings, and that's because if our desire for truth is not intense, most of us desire illusion, actually, right? Like within the heart. Right? Within the heart, we're choosing the blue pill instead of the red pill, or vice versa. I forget whatever it is, right? But I still wonder what it's like to be the center of adoration, and I want that God experience, and so we're given illusion, and it's that Paramatma in the heart that directs one to engage in illusion, right? He'll give us remembrance or he'll give us forgetfulness according to our desire. But when we intensely desire truth, then he reveals truth in the heart. And that truth manifests in the direction to be able to come towards him rather than towards the illusion, right? So, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Pratipurvakam, to those who are dedicated to serving with love, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. I give them the intelligence, right? I give them the buddhi. I give them the proper discernment to move through life, making those decisions that'll be like positive and beneficial and that will relieve one from anxiety, that will relieve one from depression.
Give me the booty, Kaustubha.
I don't have it. You got to get it from Krishna in the heart.
Okay.
All right.
Not what I meant, but
okay. Buddhi, Baba.
Hey, Buddhi, give me the booty. I don't have it. Was your answer?
So you want to, Raghunath, you're doing good for a while there.
Hey,
the 3.5 hour sleep was working, but you're falling apart now.
Slack.
Yeah, you're saying the Bhagavad Gita is wrong, and now you're really like drifting off. Okay, but why don't we do this? Two things were mentioned here, right? In this formula for freedom from depression and anxiety and revelation in the heart. And do you remember what they were?
Say that question again.
Oh my God. He's falling apart right in front of my eyes.
Delirium's kicked in.
It was that penitent knowledge we could get, that try, and everything we reveal in the heart. So penance, we want to look into that, and we also want to look into knowledge, right? This is our formula. What does penance look like? Does it mean lying on a bed of nails, right? Does it mean tying our arm up in there and holding it there for the next 15 years? Some people call that tapas, right?
Yeah. These are the type of tapas, classic tapas you see in India, people doing these very peculiar things with their bodies.
Yeah.
It's real. I mean, they do these things. And interestingly enough, any type of tapas, even weird stuff, you get some benefit. You don't necessarily get bhakti, though.
Yeah. You get power.
You get some power. You get some weird mysticism. You get... Yeah. Mystic thing.
But that's not what we're interested in, because of the buddhi, because of the proper discernment. What's my real goal here? So for one, how does the Bhagavad Gita lay out tapas, austerity? What does it recommend? Lying on a bed of nails? No. Right?
Yeah.
Hanging your arm up in the air for 15 years until it withers away and you got like these really long fingernails and everything? No, that's not it. So
you ever see that, Mara?
No, I don't think I have.
It's quite amazing.
It's a vow, right? For the next 15 years, I'm not going
I'm
to
gonna
bring
put my hand
You
in
want
the
to go
air.
to
I'm gonna
sleep.
stand in tree pose.
Yeah. Okay, that's not what the Bhagavad-gita recommends. So let's go to the 17th chapter. Texts 14 through 17 are going to speak about tapas, austerity. It's going to speak about it on the level of the body. It's going to speak about tapas on the level of one's speech or one's words. And it's going to speak about tapas on the level of the mind. All right? And I'll just read through them relatively quickly.
Yeah.
All right? So tapas of the body in the sattva guna, in the mode of goodness, it consists in worship of the Supreme Lord and the Brahmanas and the spiritual master and superiors like mother and father. So first of all, it has to do with like respecting respectable people, right?
Hey, did you ever hear people just say, especially in the yoga community, tapas means heat?
Well, it does. But because like heat is transformative, right?
Right. But
So
it's
tapas
not a
means heat,
literal
but-
translation of like heat.
I mean, people say so many things, right? But like this is what Bhagavad Gita is saying with tapas. Like here's how to understand it, right? Here's how to
Right.
practice it. Here's how to practice it. So it begins with respect, some humility and respecting people, and then it says also in cleanliness, in simplicity, in celibacy, and in nonviolence. So brahmacharya and ahimsa, and saucham. This is all Yoga Sutras draws from all this, right?
Yoga Sutras, it's all been, they've repurposed and redefined those words in the yoga community.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, but it actually, and this is
This is what
interesting-
ahimsa really means.
Well, here Prabhupada actually says, he kind of defines brahmacharya here in the commentary. He says that one should not engage in sex outside of married life, for sex is sanctioned in the scripture in marriage. And he says this is called celibacy, which to some people may sound like very restrictive, but actually for others, like that's in one sense that's like a generous definition of celibacy that Prabhupada gives there.
Well, I think the idea is that we have senses, and senses need to be regulated. We can see that with our diet, or with our, of course, with our sexual energy, anything. If senses aren't regulated, then they start to own us. And the way we can start to own them or start to control them is you don't cut them necessarily, or if you can't cut them and because it's problematic, then you regulate them.
Yeah. So those are the regulations for the body, the tapas for the body. Now tapas for speech, and we spoke about this a few weeks back, if you remember. Tapas of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. Okay. So we're careful about how we speak, right? We're careful about how we behave. This is what, if you want to meditate, if you want to have revelation in the heart, it just doesn't come because you've decided like, I'm into meditation and I don't need your rules or your practices because it's all coming to me in the heart. No. You can't meditate and you won't get any revelation in the heart unless you're living the right life. And that includes what you do with your body, what you do with your words. And then finally, this is the tapas for the mind. Satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. And then he says, these threefold austerity, body, words, and mind, performed with transcendental faith by people not expecting material benefits. Right? They're not doing this to gain anything, to gain power, to gain money, to gain fame, reputation. No. But engaged only for the sake of the Supreme. It's all an offering to God, right? I control my body for God. I control my words for God. I control my mind as an offering to God. That is called austerity in sattva guna.
It was great.
Nice stuff, right? So okay, that gives us an idea of if we want this formula, like what we can do in terms of tapas. And then he also says one needs to live fixed in the principles of Vidya, or of knowledge. Right? And there's so many things that could be said, but I just drew up a few verses that might give a good summary of it. You like to hear these, Raghu?
Please.
Okay. I'm just checking if you're still awake. I know anything could happen.
I'm awake, a little spacey, but I'm awake.
Okay, good. This is from the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. And if we just listen to these verses, I'm going to read text 7 through 11, and kind of a summary of our existence and our position in the material world, which is Vidya, right? Understanding who I am and what the situation is and what the circumstances are, getting it clearly. Most of us don't get it. Most of us really don't have a clue. We're kind of like wandering around lost. And even when we study this, we haven't internalized it yet. But this is Vidya. This is knowledge. Text 15:7. The living, and this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. He says the living entities.
Living entity in this material world carries different.
It's good, almost first. That's next.
The living
First,
entities in this
they
material
are
world
my.
carry different conceptions of life that are grouped about the mind.
You're almost there, but let's start first. The living entities in this conditioned world are my
Eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they're struggling very hard. Due to conditioned life, they're struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Okay, excellent. Now, just right in that verse, it's like that's a huge revelation, right?
That's a huge revelation.
Right, that I am an eternal fragmental part of the energy of God, but I've become conditioned in this world, and now I'm struggling with these senses. They're telling me what to do, right? Which includes my mind, because the mind is the computer and the senses are the plug-in devices. The eyes are the camera.
The interesting thing is you're not even recognizing that you're struggling with the mind. You're just dominated by the mind and senses. It's only when you start to control them you realize, oh, I'm out of control here. This car has another driver.
Right.
It's only when we actually start to regulate them and notice them and see I'm separate from the mind and senses that we realize how much we are owned by the mind and senses.
And so we're owned in the moment. Oh, my senses are demanding this, but we don't even think of it that way. We think I want this, although it's the senses and the mind that are demanding it, and we carry that out, and that leads to the next level of ownership, the next level way that we are bound and trapped. Text 8. The living entity in the material world carries their different conceptions of life, right? This will make me happy. That'll make me happy. I am this. I am that. They carry these different conceptions of life from one body to another. As the air carries
aromas.
Yes, Raghunath. Yes, you're back. You're back. And thus they take on one kind of a body and again quit it to take on another.
That's
so
the British word quit.
They quit it.
Quitting
they
our
leave
body.
They leave it.
I quit, body. You're not the boss.
Take your body and shove it. Yes. So we've gone from, okay, I'm owned in the moment. My senses are telling me what to do, and that's reinforcing false conceptions in my mind. And then that determines the next body that I take and the next body that I take. So this is Vidya. This is understanding this, operating with this understanding. Okay, next verse, text 15:9. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, another physical body, obtains a certain type of ear, a certain type of eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch. They get a whole new equipment.
New equipment. That's a great way to put it. New equipment.
Yeah.
What are grouped about the mind.
That are grouped about the mind. So the mind is the computer, and these are the plug-in devices. One's got a good camera, like a hawk. It's got a very good camera. The eyes, right?
Great camera.
Yeah.
You
and I, our cameras are getting weaker all the time.
Our cameras are getting much weaker. Well, it's one of those things. It's why I find, I'm attracted to the opposite sex, and an alligator is not attracted to human women, unless they want to eat them.
Gator women.
So they're very attractive to female alligators. Right. It's a beautiful tail, very scaly, because it's grouped about the mind. That's what they're driving
Different
around
equipment.
in, and that's what they're convinced they are.
That's right. I'm a gator.
And that's why also, even when we speak of Dharma in this world, it's really how the mind has been programmed. This is what I'm good at, or this is what I excel at. It's still, in one sense, a material conception. It's still the vehicle, and the subtle vehicle have been carved. Our senses are grouped around the mind. And this is why, again, the Bhagavatam mentions these things, but really pushes the real identity, the spiritual identity underneath it all.
Okay, excellent. So this is Vidya, right? I'm being owned by my senses and my mind. I'm acting in certain ways. It's causing me to take on different bodies, to get a different set of senses, identify with that body, and continue in that cycle. This is Vidya, right? This is knowledge. And then he says, now this is powerful, and this relates to what we're reading about here. That this is the inner revelation that I understand that I can move through this world, and this, rather than moving through this world blind and confused. Even I've read this in Bhagavad-gita, I still am controlled by my senses, right? He says in text 10, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body they enjoy under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge, that jnana chakshusa, right? They can see all
The
this.
Vishnu goggles.
That's, yeah,
Vishnu
but that's
vision.
revealed. Yeah, that's the Dadami, right? The Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tvam. I give them the understanding. I give them the vision. And then in text 11 he says, the endeavoring transcendentalists, right? They're doing tapasya. They're living within Vidya, like we've read in this verse, right? The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what's taking place, though they may try. Right? That's the difference. One person's, this is yoga, right? Let me control my body. Let me control my words. Let me control my mind. Let me live this pure lifestyle. Let me simultaneously reflect on this knowledge that I'm hearing, that I am the spark of spirit within the body, that I'm moving through a world that's constantly changing, that my senses and mind are equipment, and I'm beyond them. I'm behind all of that, right? I'm being controlled by them, and I need to gain control. And then you begin to see the world that way all the time. It affects your behavior, it affects your relationships. It ultimately reveals the ultimate truth. So that the intensity that we desire that truth, to that degree, is revealed in the heart. And that's what's going to happen to Brahma.
Boo. Booyah. Mara, you got some
Takeaways?
takeaways today, Mara?
Ooh. I didn't take any notes.
All right, have you gotten enough sleep?
You know,
Where's Lady
I think
Di when I need her?
I think I work better with no sleep. No sleep and little food.
You work better with no net?
You know what I wanted to share is Nityananda Granger, who's one of our Zoomers. He's got this whole learn Bhagavad-gita shlokas subgroup. There's a lot of subgroups going on right now.
That's a serious one, though.
How do you get on that one, Mara?
How do you get on that, Mara?
Through Discord. You can contact Nityananda Chandra.
Discord thread. We have our Bhakti recovery group. What else we have?
Yeah.
So we have Elder Reading. AJ Sullivan's got his hand in this too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a Bhakti recovery group meeting today. I think it's at 3:00. And Jamuna Jaya is doing a 5:30 p.m. Fun Day Friday asana class.
Fun day.
Fun day. That must be fun.
It's with Jamuna Jaya, so I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Now tomorrow is Q&A, right?
Q&A day.
You're gonna be ready for? Are you gonna be? What? You're gonna be good for that, Regan?
Oh,
5 a.m.
I'm taking the family to Big Bear tomorrow. I'm doing a yoga teacher training for Kumi from Beta Yoga, and you'll see. It'll be a thing.
That didn't answer my question.
Am I gonna be ready?
Are you good to go?
Absolutely not. If I was ready today, I could be ready for anything at this point.
Okay.
Today was my the end of Hell Week. That was fun. I'm ready.